Right, welcome to this presentation from NRGscapes lab, a research and development lab I run on UAP and NHI in my spare time at the moment until we can get some funding. But I've put together this quite nice presentation on one of our central focuses in terms of technology application from our fieldwork and ongoing analysis of imagery over the last, well, it's over 5 years now of doing this, and we've come quite a long way being self-funded. So I've got this presentation on boundary layer effects in anomalous object interactions, and entitled Exploring Energy Fields and Transmedium Craft Design. And I'm starting to look specifically at that impermeable biopolymer membranes as a mechanism by which the structured craft achieve superluminal travel and overcome inertia and gravity. So I'll take you through the presentation. We'll look at some footage that we've used as a basis for some image analysis to inform development of this hypothesis about energetic interactions and boundary layers of UAP. So in the presentation itself, we have a brief introduction, the big idea that I pose as part of our company or business, and a central focus in research and development. A quick summary on that, some key references we've developed in publishing laboratory research papers, a brief background of myself, of course, and then just some quotes that kind of guide the creativity and innovation that we're trying to achieve in seeing into the future in terms of technology applications from UAP, and a quote that goes with that. And then we look specifically at image analysis and the process of imaging and trying to get to the bottom of these boundary layer effects and energetic fields. Some key findings, in particular in relation to our missing science and the concept of a unified field that brings in the whole scalar field component into electrodynamics and gravitomagnetics as well. Some implications in terms of industry development and technology transfer, and finally a call to action. So without any further ado, let's get stuck into it. So what we've got here in our brief introduction is that anomalous objects interacting with the environment produce boundary layer effects. So that's the key premise behind which this presentation has been put together, that brings together all these concepts we've been researching over the past few years. And these effects manifest as localized energy phenomena that influence matter and space. So we talk a bit about how that might occur, and we've written and published some lab papers on that, underpinning some technology development, and we're hoping to get back into the field and take some more measurements and do some more analysis. And what we want to do is, if we understand these interactions, this could lead to advancements in transmedium craft design and a much deeper understanding of what UAP are and how they work, irrespective of where they come from and what they're doing. What we're interested in is, what is this technology that is manifesting in our domain in ESC and space. So let's move on to the next slide. So comparing local to non-local energetic fields. Now the big idea in amongst all this is that boundary layer effects provide clues to advanced propulsion mechanisms in these UAP, and that future research should focus on energy field manipulation for aerospace applications. Now the differentiator in our business, NRGscapes, is that the potential for non-local space-time access challenges conventional physics and opens new frontiers in aerospace engineering. And I will talk a little bit about that when we look at our results and key findings, and reference the publications we've been putting together based on our research in that regard. So if we move on, I've got a quick summary here that brings together some of the key concepts. And one of those is that boundary layer effects influence the movement and behavior of unidentified anomalous phenomena. Now these effects result from both local and non-local energy field interactions, and that includes ionization and polarization that goes on around or surrounding UAP. Now, we've got some evidence here in terms of observations of oceanic anomalies, and I've got some footage of that, and airborne orbs that I have some footage of that suggest there's some sort of dynamic energy coupling going on. Now, the findings that we have come across or come to a conclusion on indicate potential applications in trans-medium craft design and propulsion technologies into the future. Now, around all this is a list of references. I won't go through them other than to say that they can be found on ResearchGate in our lab profile. If you just type up NRGscapes Virtual Labs or AD Morgan UAP, you'll come across those publications. Now, those have all come out of digging deeply into our findings and writing about them and doing some comparative studies to look at where our fieldwork sits in terms of sampling, design and analysis with this concept of the coupling of energetic fields in local and non-local space. A little bit about myself in that regard in terms of running this research lab, and in my profile I've been a consulting scientist in UAP and NHI for over 5 years now, and before that and now over 30 years as a career scientist in the life sciences mainly, and I've been a lifetime experiencer of the phenomenon, so a lot of insight into what is going on in terms of the broader aspects of the phenomenon as well. We run an active field-based research program that's data-driven and hypothesis-driven that informs the development of our concepts and ideas around technology transfer and aerospace engineering, and numerous publications which I've listed before as well on UAP and NHI, and of course a very experienced researcher in that regard. And just a couple of quotes or concepts that really grab or capture our core values and where we lie or sit with all this. And that seeing is believing, of course. So you can't unsee what you have come to know as true. And over the last 5 years, that has really driven or been the background of the research program for NRGscapes Labs. And that, of course, leads to the statement by Craig Mapp that if you can film an idea in your mind, follow that film idea shot for shot, scene for scene, then that idea must be worth making. And that, of course, segues us into image analysis and talking about some of our key findings in terms of boundary layers and energetic fields. And the way we do this is I work with a colleague of mine in the background that helps me with imaging and image analysis. And some of the key things involved in those steps is homogenization of pixel intensity to remove all color back to almost black and start from scratch. So you use a darkroom to do that and slowly bring back your grayscales and look for hidden data extraction and detecting luminosity variations. So when you've done that, you can then go into refinement and balancing the structural integrity and trying to reduce noise but capture hidden data at the same time. And then once you've done that, you've got to transition to more advanced editing for enhanced clarity within the image, and that gives you the finished product. So what I'd like to do now is talk about some interesting or key findings in terms of image analysis and energy coupling and boundary layers, and that's divided into 4. You'll see there from 1 to 4 we've got a look at some ocean anomalies that we did this for, and orbs, of course, and energy fields. We look at some of the imaging that we've done from that in terms of mechanisms of effect, or what are we observing that causes the effect that we see manifest in and around UAP, and talk about energetic fields and coupling between local and non-local space. And what are the common features is number 3, and theoretical implications for that in terms of the understanding of the physical world, and what are the implications for trans-medium craft design in that regard. So if we take a look first at the ocean anomaly, now I've got some key 3 key summaries here in terms of image analysis. One is that there was a double layering effect that was likely due to ionization of water vapor, and energy concentration seemed to occur at specific vertices close to the waterline, suggesting some sort of underlying structured object was there that couldn't be seen. And then when we do image analysis, this indicates some sort of attraction of ionized vapor to whatever this unseen object is above the waterline. Now I do have some footage of that here, so I'm going to show you that now, and I will just talk about it while you're watching. Now you'll see here, what you'll see is this double layer effect at the water. Now this is a flat, calm day. There's no reef break there, there's no waves, there's no wind, it's perfectly almost still, and we've got this, and it's not a mirage. There is something going on there, interacting energetically across a boundary layer at vertices that keep reappearing and disappearing. And this is just an extract from 2 minutes of film footage, and even to the point where there's a bit of a shadow forecast at each vertices before this imaging appears. So I want to talk a little bit more about that after we've looked at the orb one as well. Now if we take the orb one, you can see here our 3 key findings when we took the color right back to black and a grey scale, of course, is that there's a polarized, or appears to be a polarized energy layer with an outer ionized shell and an inner structured core. Now if you start looking at the image of that and bringing back in the pixels in a darkroom, there seems to be some sort of internal energy waveform in that resembles some sort of toroidal energy dynamics. And we could say that that's similar to the ocean anomaly when we looked at the imaging in terms of pulling up the water in this energetic arc that you can't see with the visible eye. And then number 3 here, if you look at that, this suggests that there's some sort of shared mechanism of energy rotation and attraction, both in terms of the ocean anomaly one and looking at number 3 there in terms of waveform, and then the orb itself again in terms of the waveform generated from some sort of internal structure. If we carry on from that and look at the actual orb footage, which I'll bring up now, that will give you some insight into this. So I will just grab it here and here. Now take a look at this. This is the orb passing by. Once it loads, it's a bit slow to load. Here we go. Okay, that's a brief footage extracted from an orb that passed by at one of our field sites, and you can see there that it's not an insect. We've done extensive debunking and analysis of a lot of archived footage around the various types of orbs and rods that are associated with them, and we've filmed insects and done a comparison. So I want to put that aside right now because I don't really engage in those conversations anymore because of the level and amount of research we've done on this. So if I just go back to the presentation and carry on here, looking at the comparison between the two. Now the whole boundary layer effect came up from looking at extensive footage of orbs and then seeing this ocean anomaly, which we filmed or got off a social media page and downloaded a 200 megabyte file, and a colleague of mine helped me look at or analyze the hidden data within that imagery, and we came up with what I've just shown you. Now if you look at the common features across both of those in terms of key findings, what we're suggesting is that anomalous objects may exist out of sync with their surroundings due to energy fields, and that these fields generate a repulsive force which counteracts gravity and assists in overcoming inertia, while also generating an attractive force drawing ionized matter towards them. Now we think that energy is likely derived from torsion-based spinning mechanisms, and we talk about this in some of our research papers. And some other points in terms of key findings, common features and theoretical implications is that UAPs have been linked to cloud formation as well in terms of ionization at high altitudes, and that's the whole concept that UFOs or UAP are hiding in clouds, and that might just be by default because of the ionization that goes on around them and the polarization of water vapor, because water is a polar covalent molecule, so it conducts a current. So if you've got these two energetic fields interacting, they're going to generate some sort of boundary layer effect in terms of water vapor that's around them. Now, that could be a combination of thermochemical and electrochemical coupling, of course, and I do talk about this in our orb papers. So what we've got is an interaction that involves electromagnetic and scalar fields, and this is where this whole concept of a unified field theory comes in terms of what UAP are and how they work or interact with our physical domain and generate these boundary layer effects that we're looking at, that we seem to fail to understand because some of our science is missing, because we're trying to understand them in terms of the physical dimension and vector calculus, rather than reintegrating into Maxwell's extended equations these scalar variable, and also in Heaviside's gravitomagnetic equations, which mimic Maxwell's, and of course he gauged it all to zero in terms of the scalar variable. So if you bring that back for both, all of a sudden you have a mathematical foundation for the integration of general relativity with electromagnetics in terms of these expanded dynamics, and the scalar field becomes apparent in mathematics, which means it can be demonstrated in physics and tied to materials design and making or the construction of objects or craft that have this outer layer that can demonstrate this effect. So implications for transmedium craft design in terms of concepts is that all of a sudden we have a transmedium craft that must be able to manipulate time-space. If we think of UAP or structured UAP craft as being transmedium, then if there's these energetic fields are coupled due to what we think is going on in the outer layer or skin or the permeable layer exterior to the object, then we have a permeable membrane that can demonstrate electrochemical coupling and thermochemical coupling, and both are able to interact with local and non-local space-time. Now, what we think is going on is that there's some sort of ability of this permeable layer to manage ultra-low frequency scalar waves in terms of vibration and resonance, while not compromising the production of a electromagnetic field and repulsion through electron transport due to a toroidal rotating core that's generating this field around them. So I suggest we need a call to action, and in NRGscapes, our company is really pushing the boundaries of trying to lead the way in terms of permeable membrane design and its application in aerospace in this new technology area. And whether or not there's already reverse engineering programs underway that may or may not be well informed by this whole concept is kind of moot, because this needs to come out in the public domain and be led and driven in a way that we can bring people on board and understand and have a public face to it, while also protecting the technology. Whether or not there's NHI behind this, or it's just purely human engineered ingenuity, or a combination of both, it's a conversation we need to have, and a technology we need to push the boundaries of, so we can get out off planet into space and utilizing this unified field rather than taking months to get anywhere. So understanding boundary layer effects and anomalous object interactions provides crucial insights into transmedium craft development. Now, by harnessing repulsive and attractive energy fields, these objects interact with their environment in ways that challenge conventional physics. Now, the study of these phenomena could lead to groundbreaking advancements in aerospace engineering and space-time manipulation technologies, and I'm sure, or I'm certain, that all has something to do with not the concept of a warp drive itself, because that's providing an enormous amount of energy, but it's how that energy is applied. And the missing piece of the puzzle is linked to our missing science in terms of scalar fields and a unified theory that links with general relativity. Now, I'm pretty sure that permeable biopolymers that consist of crystalline structures around the outside of a craft are coupling these two energetic fields, and the observations we see in the field of UAP, I'm certain, have something to do with that. And if we can develop the technology ourselves and apply that to our own craft design, then there's no reason we should not be able to make these jumps or transits ourselves and get to, for example, Mars in a couple of hours or less, and overcome inertia and gravity along the way, so we don't feel any of this. We're in this coupled field inside this craft that is instantaneously making these jumps or transits. So I'll leave it at that for now. That's the conversation. That's our key or core research focus in the company or business we're developing, in terms of applying our research and generating some commercial outcomes for investment and funding to further develop our field research program to better inform our laboratory research, and eventually applying that in terms of materials design as well. So thank you for listening.